Hidden deep in the foggy hills of San Francisco lies a mansion whose story has been shrouded in mystery for over a century. A mansion that once whispered of secrets, power, and untold histories. Welcome to Linden Towers, a place that once stood as a monument to ambition and now stands as a relic of a past long forgotten. The tale of Linden Towers begins in the late 1800s, in an era where wealth, influence, and grandeur were paramount. Its name alone evokes a sense of grandeur, a Linden Towers, as if the mansion reached up to the sky itself, standing proudly as a symbol of the elite who built it. But there's more to this mansion than meets the eye. Linden Towers was constructed in 1878, at a time when San Francisco was on the brink of transformation. The city was growing fast, with its streets lined with Victorian architecture and the famous Gold Rush-era wealth, creating an influx of ambitious individuals. The original architects, Laver and Curllet, were commissioned to design the mansion, but their vision for this grand structure was unlike any other at the time. Why was Linden Towers built here on this isolated hill? What was its true purpose? The mansion's location, removed from the busy heart of the city, hints at something secretive. Was it a private retreat for its original owners, or was it a place where power could be wielded in the shadows, far from the public eye? Rumors surrounding its construction suggest that Linden Towers was not just a mansion, but a monument to something darker. Was it a symbol of the untold wealth accumulated from questionable dealings? Or was it a fortress built to conceal something far more sinister within its walls? The answers to these questions remain hidden beneath layers of time. But one thing is certain: the story of Linden Towers is far from ordinary. And as we journey deeper into its history, you'll discover the truth behind this magnificent structure. The creation of Linden Towers was not a project born from simple ambition. It was a masterstroke in architectural design and a testament to the power and influence of its original owners. The mansion's construction began in 1878, but its story truly began long before the first brick was laid. The masterminds behind this colossal structure were Laver and Curllet, architects known for their ability to blend classical styles with modern innovations. The mansion they designed was meant to be a monument to wealth, and in many ways it became just that. But why in the late 19th century would someone choose to build such an extravagant mansion in this particular location? Nestled atop a hill with a panoramic view of the San Francisco skyline, the site was chosen not just for its beauty, but for its seclusion. While the city below bustled with life, Linden Towers sat in solitude, its tall spires reaching towards the sky like a sentinel guarding its secrets. The mansion was not just an ordinary residence, it was a statement. The original owners, whose names have been lost to history, were individuals whose fortunes came from various sources, some legitimate, others clouded in mystery. They sought a place that would reflect their power, but also offer them a private sanctuary, a place far removed from the prying eyes of society. Construction was a monumental task that spanned several years. The builders, led by the architect duo, faced numerous challenges along the way. The rocky terrain made it difficult to lay the foundation, and the materials required for such a grandiose design had to be imported from all over the country. Despite these challenges, the mansion slowly took shape, a towering, multi-level structure that seemed to defy the natural landscape. At the time of its completion in 1884, Linden Towers was unlike anything seen in San Francisco. It was not simply a house, but a sprawling estate covering several acres of land. Its architecture was a blend of Victorian Gothic and Renaissance Revival styles, with intricate stonework and towering windows that allowed the light to filter through in spectacular ways. The mansion's design was also highly innovative for its time. It boasted a central courtyard surrounded by multiple wings, each dedicated to a different purpose. The main house included an elaborate ballroom, an expansive library, and several lavish drawing rooms, each more opulent than the last. Outside, the estate featured a network of gardens, fountains, and manicured lawns that served as a backdrop to the mansion's towering presence. The location of Linden Towers was also of great significance. Positioned strategically atop a hill, it offered sweeping views of the city below, while at the same time ensuring that its inhabitants were isolated from the hustle and bustle of San Francisco. Was this intentional? Was this mansion designed as a retreat from society, or was it built as a fortress to safeguard its owners from potential threats, both real and imagined? Whatever the true intent behind its construction, there's no denying that Linden Towers became a symbol of wealth, ambition, and power. The grand scale of the mansion made it one of the most talked about structures in the city. But as the years passed, the mansion's true purpose, hidden behind its walls and beneath its sprawling gardens, remained a mystery. And as we continue to peel back the layers of this architectural marvel, more questions arise than answers. As Linden Towers rose to prominence, so too did the whispers of its first inhabitants. Who were these original occupants? The ones who first took residence in the grand mansion, and what was their story? Were they the epitome of high society, or did they have a darker agenda that was kept hidden behind the mansion's towering walls? The mansion's early days were marked by a certain air of mystery. The first owners, whose identities have been lost to history, were said to be a wealthy family of merchants who had made their fortune in the booming industries of the time. Their wealth was rumored to have been earned through both legitimate business dealings and more dubious means, a combination that provided them with the resources to build a mansion of unimaginable scale. Linden Towers became the home of these affluent individuals, a place where they could entertain high society and cement their status among San Francisco's elite. The mansion's design was crafted with this in mind, with expansive ballrooms, luxurious dining rooms, and private salons, all perfect for hosting lavish parties and gatherings. It wasn't uncommon for guests to arrive by horse, drawn carriage, their eyes wide with awe at the towering gates and sprawling grounds of the estate. But as with many families of power, there were secrets lurking behind the facade of wealth. The mansion's original owners were known for their reclusive nature. Rarely seen outside of their home, they kept a tight circle of trusted allies and business partners. Some say that Linden Towers wasn't just a home, but a headquarters for clandestine meetings, a place where deals were made in the shadows, far from the prying eyes of the public. Though the mansion was built for grandeur, it also played a significant role in the shaping of early San Francisco society. The sprawling estate hosted several important social events, including galas, charity functions, and political gatherings. It was here that many of the city's movers and shakers first met, forged alliances, and discussed matters that would shape the future of the region. It was rumored that high-profile political figures and business moguls, some of them close allies of the mansion's owners, held private meetings within the mansion's grand walls, discussing everything from trade routes to political control. But Linden Towers was not just a symbol of wealth and power. It also served as a private refuge for its inhabitants. The mansion's isolation, perched atop a hill and shielded by the surrounding trees and thick fog, provided the perfect escape from the pressures of public life. Its massive walls held stories of quiet contemplation, of secretive discussions and family matters that would never see the light of day. Despite its grandeur, the mansion was also home to tragedy. The original owners, while once the toast of society, faced their own personal hardships. The family was struck by illness, financial ruin, and even scandal. Some reports suggest that the mansion itself, with its isolated location and eerie atmosphere, became a place of refuge for those seeking solace from the turmoil of their personal lives. It was said that the mansion's halls echoed with whispers of lost loved ones, of dreams dashed by misfortune, and of a family that was slowly unraveling. One of the most chilling legends surrounding the mansion's early days is the tale of the mysterious disappearance of one of the family members. Late one night, the story goes, the family member vanished without a trace, leaving only a cryptic message behind. Was it a disappearance of choice, a voluntary departure from the world? Or was there something darker at play? To this day, no one knows for certain, and the mansion's history is forever stained by the mystery of that night. The early days of Linden Towers were as tumultuous as they were lavish. The mansion became not only a symbol of wealth and power, but also a place of secrecy, intrigue, and personal turmoil. As time went on, The mansion's role in the social fabric of San Francisco would evolve, and new generations would come to call it home. But the mysteries of its early days would continue to linger, casting a shadow over everything that followed. Linden Towers was not just a mansion, it was a testament to the opulence and ambition of its creators. From its towering spires to its lavish interiors, the mansion was a masterpiece of design, an architectural marvel that set a new standard for luxury in San Francisco. But what made this mansion so extraordinary? What was it about Linden Towers that made it stand out, even among the grandest estates of the time? The architecture of Linden Towers was a blend of intricate Victorian Gothic and Renaissance Revival styles, each room and corner of the mansion carefully crafted to evoke awe and admiration. The mansion's exterior was dominated by sharp, angular spires, sweeping arches, and delicate stone carvings that adorned every corner. The design was meant to be as imposing as it was beautiful, a structure that seemed to rise from the very earth itself, challenging the sky above. Inside the mansion was nothing short of breathtaking. The grand entrance hall, with its soaring ceilings and intricate woodwork, welcomed guests into a world of unparalleled luxury. The floors were made of imported marble, polished to a gleaming shine, and the walls were adorned with rich tapestries and gilded frames that reflected the light of the grand chandeliers above. The main staircase, with its sweeping curves and polished banisters, led guests up to the second floor, where a series of grand rooms awaited them. The mansion's most remarkable feature was its ballroom, a space so large and extravagant that it could accommodate dozens of guests in its grandiose space. The ballroom's walls were covered in silk wallpaper, and the floors were made of polished oak, reflecting the light from the dozens of crystal chandeliers that hung from the ceiling. The room was designed to host the most opulent of gatherings, from lavish balls to intimate soirees, and it became the center of social life at Linden Towers. But the ballroom was not the only room to capture the imagination of those who entered the mansion. The library was equally impressive, a room lined with shelves upon shelves of rare books and antique furniture. The scent of aged wood and leather filled the air as visitors would marvel at the vast collection of volumes that lined the walls. It was said that the library was not only a place of learning, but also one of great mystery, filled with books and documents that revealed hidden secrets about the mansion's owners and their connections to the world beyond. As one would expect, the mansion's drawing rooms were equally lavish. Each room was designed with a different theme, showcasing the finest furniture, textiles, and artwork. The walls were lined with hand-painted murals, depicting scenes of elegance and grandeur. In some rooms, the furniture was made from exotic woods, imported from faraway lands. In others, plush velvet sofas and chairs were arranged in intricate patterns designed to evoke a sense of intimacy and luxury. The mansion also featured a series of private chambers designed for the owner's personal use. These rooms were smaller, but no less impressive than the grand public spaces. The master suite, for example, was outfitted with the finest silks and linens, and the furniture was made from gold and silver. The windows in these rooms were designed to offer breathtaking views of the surrounding city while providing a sense of privacy and seclusion. The design of Linden Towers was a reflection of its owner's taste and status. Every corner, every room was a statement of wealth and refinement. But it wasn't just the physical structure of the mansion that made it stand out. It was the sense of grandeur that permeated every inch of the estate. The mansion was more than just a home. It was a symbol of power, prestige, and sophistication. Even the mansion's gardens were an extension of its luxury. The grounds surrounding Linden Towers were meticulously manicured with perfectly trimmed hedges, fountains that sparkled in the sunlight, and pathways lined with exotic plants and flowers. The gardens were designed to be both beautiful and functional, serving as a serene retreat for the mansion's inhabitants while also acting as a display of wealth. Visitors who strolled through the gardens would find themselves lost in a world of beauty and tranquility, a stark contrast to the bustling city below. But as much as Linden Towers was a symbol of elegance, it was also a place of innovation. The mansion's design incorporated cutting cutting-edge technologies for its time. Central heating was installed to ensure that the mansion remained warm during the cold San Francisco winters. The latest plumbing systems were introduced, and the estate featured an early form of electricity, with electric lights illuminating the rooms long before they became common in other homes. The luxuriousness of Linden Towers was not only a testament to the wealth of its owners, but also to the architectural genius of Laver and Curllet. The mansion was ahead of its time, a place where innovation met opulence in a perfect harmony that left an indelible mark on the history of San Francisco's architecture. While the interior of Linden Towers was a masterpiece of opulence, the grounds surrounding the mansion were equally as magnificent, serving as an extension of the luxury and elegance that defined the estate. The gardens at Linden Towers were not just beautiful, they were carefully curated landscapes that told a story of wealth, prestige, and a desire to showcase nature's most exquisite features. The mansion sat atop a sprawling estate, its grounds covering several acres of land, each meticulously designed to enhance the mansion's towering presence. From the very first step onto the property, visitors were greeted by an overwhelming sense of serenity and grandeur. The long driveway leading up to the mansion was flanked by towering trees, their branches arching overhead like a protective canopy. As guests made their way toward the entrance, they would pass through a series of perfectly manicured hedges and flower beds, each carefully tended to ensure that the colors of the plants complemented the mansion's architecture. At the heart of the estate was a large central garden, a lush oasis that seemed to breathe life into the surroundings. The garden was designed in the style of an English formal garden, with symmetrical paths, fountains, and strategically placed statues that added an air of classical elegance. At its center stood a grand fountain, the water sparkling in the sunlight as it cascaded down into a stone basin. This fountain, often described as the focal point of the garden, was surrounded by neatly trimmed hedges and rows of colorful flowers, which changed with the seasons, always offering a new display of color for those who visited. The pathways that wound through the garden were lined with flowers of every variety, from roses and lilies to exotic orchids and tulips. The choice of flowers was no accident. Each variety was carefully selected to create a visual masterpiece that reflected the mansion's overall aesthetic, elegant, refined, and above all, harmonious with nature. The garden was a place where guests could stroll leisurely, taking in the beauty of the flora while enjoying the cool breeze that swept through the estate. Beyond the central garden, the grounds of Linden Towers stretched out into what could only be described as an estate of pure luxury. A series of smaller, more private gardens were dotted throughout the property, each one offering a different experience. Some were designed to be peaceful retreats, with benches placed strategically beneath the shade of large oak trees, providing perfect spots for quiet reflection. Others were more elaborate, with trellises covered in climbing roses and ivy, creating an atmosphere of romanticism that was ideal for intimate gatherings. The mansion's landscape also featured several water features that were designed not just for aesthetic purposes, but also for the sound of running water, which provided a sense of tranquility to the entire estate. Small streams meandered through the grounds, with ornamental bridges crossing over them, leading to hidden corners where more rare and exotic plants were cultivated. These hidden spaces were meant to evoke a sense of discovery, as if the estate itself was a world of its own, waiting to be explored. Perhaps the most unique feature of the grounds was the massive tree-lined avenue that led from the mansion to a distant pavilion at the far end of the estate. The avenue was flanked by towering cypress trees, their tall, straight trunks creating an almost tunnel-like effect as visitors walked beneath their shade. This path led to a secluded area where private events were held, away from the prying eyes of the world, and surrounded by the beauty of nature. It was said that this part of the estate was reserved for the most important guests, where intimate dinners and gatherings of power brokers and political elites took place in a setting of unmatched beauty. Throughout the estate, rare and unusual plants were cultivated, some of them imported from distant lands. These plants were not only a testament to the wealth of Linden Towers owners, but also served as a mark of distinction. The gardens featured trees that were hundreds of years old, as well as newly planted specimens that would grow to become towering giants in the years to come. One of the most famous trees on the estate was an ancient oak, believed to be as old as the mansion itself. This oak, with its sprawling branches and thick trunk, became a symbol of the mansion's enduring legacy, rooted in the past, yet constantly reaching towards the future. The significance of Linden Towers gardens cannot be understated. They were not simply a place of beauty. They were a reflection of the mansion's larger purpose, a place of power, wealth, and influence. The gardens provided both a sanctuary for the mansion's inhabitants and a grand setting for social events that cemented the owner's place in San Francisco's high society. The natural landscape surrounding Linden Towers also played a crucial role in its history. The gardens became an extension of the mansion itself, a place where the very essence of luxury and exclusivity could be experienced firsthand. And while the grand halls and opulent rooms of Linden Towers may have captured the attention of visitors, it was the gardens that truly captured their hearts, offering not only a glimpse into the world of the mansion's owners, but also a reminder of the enduring beauty of nature itself. As with many grand estates, the passage of time brought both change and transformation to Linden Towers. Though it began as a symbol of luxury and prestige, the mansion's legacy would be shaped not only by its original design, but by the hands that came after, those who sought to preserve its grandeur while adapting it to the needs of a changing world. Over the years, Linden Towers underwent several key renovations, each reflecting the evolving tastes and requirements of its owners. The mansion was not just a place to live, it was a living, breathing entity, constantly adapting to the demands of its time. And as San Francisco grew, becoming more modern, more connected, and more bustling, the mansion had to keep pace, evolving from an exclusive estate to something that could accommodate the shifting priorities of society. The first major renovation occurred at the turn of the century when the mansion's original owners, who had grown reclusive and mysterious, decided to update the estate to suit the tastes of a new generation. At this time, technological advancements such as electricity and modern plumbing were becoming standard in the city's wealthiest homes, and Linden Towers was no exception. The mansion's interior, once reliant on gas lamps, was outfitted with electric lighting, an innovation that radically transformed the way the estate was experienced, especially in the grand ballroom, where events were held well into the night. But it wasn't just the infrastructure that was updated. The owners also sought to refresh the mansion's aesthetic, adding new rooms, changing the layout, and modernizing the design. The central courtyard, once a simple garden space, was transformed into an elegant outdoor room with pergolas, marble benches, and a new fountain which added to the already impressive grounds. The ballroom, once a place for genteel social events, was expanded with new ceilings and a fresher look that incorporated the Art Deco style that was becoming popular at the time. The addition of large windows allowed natural light to pour into the space, further enhancing its grandeur. As the years went on, Linden Towers continued to evolve. The estate passed through several hands, each new owner bringing their own vision for the mansion. By the mid-20th century, the property underwent another round of renovations, this time more focused on maintaining its historical integrity while modernizing its function. The advent of World War II had led to a shift in priorities, and the mansion, which had once been the site of lavish parties and political gatherings, now served a more utilitarian purpose. At one point, the mansion even became a temporary headquarters for military officials during the war, a far cry from the opulent social gatherings it had once hosted. In the post-war years, the mansion was again renovated, this time to accommodate the new lifestyle of its wealthy owners. The estate was updated with modern conveniences, including new electrical wiring, central heating, and air conditioning, luxuries that were becoming standard in affluent homes. The gardens, once a place of quiet reflection, were redesigned to reflect the contemporary tastes of the 1950s, with bold geometric patterns and an emphasis on low, maintenance landscaping. One of the most significant changes came in the late 1970s when the mansion's owners decided to completely overhaul the interior, seeking to blend the historical with the contemporary. This renovation saw the addition of a new wing, which housed modern amenities like a cinema room, a state-of-the-art kitchen, and luxurious guest suites. The interior design was a fusion of old-world charm and modern elegance, with vintage furniture and original paintings juxtaposed against sleek, minimalist decor. However, these renovations weren't without their critics. Many purists argued that the mansion's history and original architecture were being lost in the process. The modern updates, while undoubtedly luxurious, began to overshadow the character of the mansion, and some feared that the essence of Linden Towers, the very spirit of the estate, was being diluted. Despite these concerns, the mansion continued to thrive as a private residence, and it remained a symbol of wealth and refinement for generations. But as the years passed, the need for major updates began to wane. By the 1990s, Linden Towers was mostly preserved as a historical landmark, its renovations becoming more about maintenance and preservation rather than transformation. In recent decades, the mansion has undergone a careful restoration process aimed at preserving its historical significance while ensuring it remains functional for modern use. The original features of the mansion, the intricate woodwork, the stained glass windows, the grand staircase, have been lovingly restored, allowing future generations to experience Linden Towers as it was intended to be. The estate's gardens, too, have been returned to their former glory, with new landscaping efforts focused on preserving the rare and exotic plants that once graced the grounds. But even with all the changes, one thing remains constant: Linden Tower stands as a symbol of endurance. Despite the passage of time, despite the shifting sands of history, the mansion remains a monument to the ambition, wealth, and dreams of those who built it. Each renovation, each change has only added to the story of Linden Towers, weaving a tapestry of old and new, past and present, that gives the mansion its unique, timeless character. As with many grand estates, there is always more beneath the surface than what meets the eye. Linden Towers, with its towering spires and grand facades, is no exception. Behind its elegant walls and sprawling gardens, there lies a darker history, one filled with whispered rumors, unsolved mysteries, and a sense of foreboding that lingers to this day. The mansion's early days were shrouded in secrecy, and it didn't take long for whispers to spread about the unsettling occurrences that seemed to follow its first owners. Some say the mansion was built with more than just luxury in mind. It was designed as a sanctuary, not only from the outside world, but from forces that were less easily understood. And as time wore on, those same forces began to manifest in ways that were impossible to ignore. One of the most chilling tales surrounding Linden Towers, that of the mysterious disappearance of a family member shortly after the mansion's completion. It is said that one night, in the dead of winter, a member of the original family simply vanished without a trace. No note was left behind, no sign of struggle was found, and the mansion's vast grounds yielded no evidence of where the person might have gone. The disappearance remains one of the most talked about mysteries in the mansion's long history. But this was only the beginning. Over the years, a number of unexplained events would occur within the mansion's walls. It is said that late at night, staff and guests alike would hear strange noises coming from the attic, a soft rustling, as though someone was moving about in the dark. The sounds were often followed by the faint scent of perfume, though no one could pinpoint where it was coming from. Some believed it was the ghost of the vanished family member forever haunting the mansion, while others speculated that there was something far darker at play. In the early 20th century, as the mansion passed into new hands, the rumors of its haunted nature only grew stronger. Several workers who were tasked with performing renovations reported feeling a cold, oppressive atmosphere in certain rooms, particularly in the master suite. One carpenter who worked on restoring the main staircase swore he saw a figure in the mirror, a woman dressed in Victorian attire, her face obscured by shadows. When he turned around, the figure had vanished. He left the project that same day and was never heard from again. The mansion's dark secrets seem to grow with every passing year. Some say that during Prohibition, Linden Towers was used as a secret meeting place for notorious gangsters and political figures involved in underground dealings that were never meant to see the light of day. It was rumored that the owners at the time were deeply connected to the criminal underworld, and that the mansion served as a place for shady business dealings and clandestine meetings. One particularly chilling rumor involves a hidden room within the mansion known only to a few of the most trusted individuals. This room, it is said, was used for secret meetings of a more sinister nature. Some even believe it was a place where dark rituals were performed, rituals that had been passed down through generations of powerful families, designed to protect their wealth and influence. Whether these stories are true or mere legend is unknown, but the notion of a hidden, shadowy room within the mansion persists to this day. Perhaps the most unsettling of all the mansion's dark secrets, however, is the persistent claim that Linden Towers is cursed. Over the years, there have been reports of strange occurrences that defy logical explanation. Some visitors drawn to the mansion for tours or private events have reported feeling an overwhelming sense of dread upon stepping through the front door. Some have said that the temperature in certain rooms drops dramatically as though the very air is thick with something unseen. Others have claimed that they were overcome by an unexplainable feeling of sadness, as if the mansion itself was mourning the loss of something or someone. The tales of ghosts and hauntings have persisted through the decades, and the mansion has earned a reputation as one of the most haunted locations in San Francisco. Some of the most vivid accounts come from those who have stayed overnight at Linden Towers. They report hearing footsteps echoing through the empty halls, doors that open and close on their own, and the soft sounds of whispers that seem to come from nowhere. There is one tale in particular that has become legend, an event so strange and chilling that it has fueled the mansion's reputation for being cursed. It is said that on the night of a particularly violent storm, a group of guests gathered at Linden Towers for a private dinner party. As the evening wore on, the storm raged outside, but inside the mansion, the mood remained light and celebratory. That is, until the clock struck midnight. At that moment, a powerful gust of wind blew through the house, extinguishing the candles and plunging the room into darkness. When the lights came back on, one of the guests, a well-known businessman, was found dead, a look of terror frozen on his face. No one could explain how he died, and the incident was never fully investigated. Rumors spread quickly that his death was linked to the mansion's dark past, that it was somehow connected to the supposed curse that had plagued the estate for generations. The story of the businessman's death has been told countless times, adding to the mansion's reputation as a place where danger lurks behind every corner and where the past refuses to stay buried. Even today, some who visit Linden Towers claim to experience strange occurrences, flickering lights, unexplained noises, and a sense that they are not alone in the mansion. Whether these are the remnants of a bygone era or something more supernatural remains a mystery. But one thing is certain: the mansion's dark secrets have not been fully uncovered, and perhaps they never will be. The story of Linden Towers is not only one of architecture and grandeur, but also one of shifting ownership and changing fortunes. Throughout its long history, the mansion has passed through several hands, each new owner adding their own mark to the estate, whether through renovations, new purposes, or their own personal legacy. The first owners of Linden Towers were wealthy merchants. Their fortune derived from the industrial boom of the late 19th century. Their wealth allowed them to build the mansion as a statement of their success, a home that reflected their status in society. However, as with many fortunes built on ambition and speculation, their reign was short-lived. The original family, while influential in their time, eventually succumbed to the pressures of financial ruin and personal tragedy. The mansion, though still standing strong, began to lose its luster as the family faded into history. By the early 20th century, Linden Towers was sold to a new generation of owners, wealthy landowners with ties to both the rising tech industry and political elites. These new occupants, eager to maintain the mansion's reputation as a symbol of power, undertook significant renovations to bring the mansion into the modern age. The new owners transformed the mansion into a gathering place for San Francisco's elite, hosting lavish parties, charity galas, and high-profile political meetings. But these changes were not just physical. The mansion's role in the city's social and political landscape evolved as well. The new owners were influential members of the city's growing upper crust, business tycoons, political figures, and philanthropists. They saw Linden Towers not only as a private residence, but as a base of operations for the work they were doing to shape the future of the city. This was the time when Linden Towers became a place where business deals were struck, alliances were forged, and political power was wielded. The mansion was, for a time, a nexus of the city's elite, where the power players of the day would gather in private to discuss matters that would impact the future of the nation. Despite its increasing importance, however, the mansion's ownership was never stable. The roaring 1920s came to an abrupt end with the Great Depression, and Linden Towers fell into disrepair as its owners faced financial hardship. The once opulent ballroom, which had hosted the most prestigious events in the city, grew dusty and empty. The estate, once a symbol of prosperity, now stood as a relic of a bygone era. It was during this time that Linden Towers passed into the hands of a series of owners who sought to maintain the mansion but struggled to restore its former glory. By the 1940s, the mansion was sold once more, this time to a prominent socialite who, despite the challenges of the Second World War, worked tirelessly to restore Linden Towers to its previous grandeur. The new owner, determined to bring the mansion back to life, poured considerable wealth into the estate, restoring the gardens, revamping the interior, and reviving its role as a symbol of wealth and elegance. During this period, the mansion was once again a venue for extravagant social events, drawing the rich and famous from across the nation. However, as the 1960s and 1970s unfolded, Linden Towers began to shift in function. The mansion, once a private residence for the elite, found itself becoming a more public entity, open to tours and social gatherings. In an effort to preserve the estate for future generations, the mansion's new owners transformed Linden Towers into a museum dedicated not just to its own history, but to the rich legacy of San Francisco itself. As a museum, Linden Towers became a popular attraction for tourists and history buffs alike. Its halls were filled with artifacts from the past, from vintage furniture to rare paintings that told the story of the mansion's long history. Visitors from around the world came to marvel at the architecture, the gardens, and the tales of the mansion's past. The transformation from private residence to public institution was not without its controversies, however. Many argued that the mansion's history had become commercialized, with its secrets and stories diluted in the name of tourism. In the 1990s, Linden Towers' ownership changed again, this time becoming a luxury event venue. While still preserving its role as a historical landmark, the mansion was transformed into a space where private events such as weddings, galas, and corporate retreats could be held. The Grand Ballroom was once again used for social gatherings, this time for San Francisco's wealthiest patrons who sought a taste of the mansion's storied past for their own celebrations. The mansion's history, now wrapped in layers of both reverence and business, continued to draw attention, but it was no longer a residence. It was a place of spectacle. But as the 21st century unfolded, Linden Towers was once again faced with a changing world. The mansion's owners, aware of the challenges of maintaining such a large and historic property, made the decision to open the mansion to the public on a more permanent basis. The mansion, now fully restored, was made available for tours, offering a glimpse into its storied past while showcasing the beauty of its architecture and the rich history that surrounded it. Today, Linden Towers is both a historical landmark and a space that serves the community. The mansion stands as a testament to San Francisco's evolution from a quiet outpost on the West Coast to a thriving city filled with innovation and culture. Its ownership has transformed over the years, but the mansion remains a symbol of the enduring power of architecture, history, and legacy. As we look at Linden Towers today, we see a mansion that has gracefully evolved with the times while retaining its historical grandeur. The mansion, once a private residence and later a gathering place for San Francisco's elite, has now found its place in the modern world as a living testament to the city's rich past. But how has Linden Towers adapted to the demands of the present day while preserving its storied legacy? In the modern era, Linden Towers serves as both a historic landmark and a community hub, welcoming visitors from around the world who come to experience its opulence and learn about its fascinating history. The mansion, which once stood as a private retreat for the wealthy, is now open to the public, offering guided tours that take guests through its grand rooms, lush gardens, and hidden corners. These tours provide a glimpse into the mansion's past with knowledgeable guides recounting the stories of its former inhabitants, the significant events that took place within its walls, and the dark secrets that have lingered for generations. While the mansion's public access has allowed it to maintain its relevance, it has also been carefully preserved to ensure that the historical integrity of the estate is not compromised. Much of the original architecture has been meticulously restored. Ornate woodwork, marble floors, and intricate moldings have been carefully repaired to retain their timeless beauty. The grand ballroom, once the heart of the mansion's social life, is still used for special events, though now it hosts more public functions, from historical lectures to charity galas. The gardens, too, have been restored to their former splendor. The sprawling lawns, once the setting for private parties and intimate gatherings, are now open to the public, offering visitors a peaceful retreat in the heart of San Francisco. The central fountain, once a symbol of the mansion's elegance, continues to serve as the focal point of the estate's landscape, while the rare trees and exotic plants that once graced the grounds have been lovingly nurtured and maintained. The gardens are a place of reflection and tranquility, where visitors can walk the same paths once tread by some of the city's most powerful figures. In addition to its tours and public events, Linden Towers has also become a sought-after venue for special occasions. The mansion's majestic setting makes it the perfect place for weddings, corporate retreats, and private celebrations. Its romantic and historic ambience attracts couples who wish to exchange vows in a setting of unparalleled beauty, while business leaders use the mansion as a backdrop for important meetings and high-profile events. The mansion's storied past, combined with its modern amenities, makes it a unique and unforgettable location for any event. Despite its new role as a public and event venue, Linden Towers has not lost its allure as a symbol of power and prestige. The mansion's location, perched atop a hill with sweeping views of San Francisco, still commands attention. Its towering spires and grand design continue to make it one of the most recognizable landmarks in the city. But the mansion has also become a place where history is honored and preserved, a bridge between the past and the present. Today, Linden Towers stands as a monument to the enduring legacy of the past and the ever-evolving nature of the future. While its primary function may have shifted, the mansion remains a vital part of San Francisco's identity. It is a place where visitors can step back in time to experience the elegance of a bygone era, while also engaging with the dynamic modern city that surrounds it. And while the mansion has adapted to the needs of modern society, it continues to hold a special place in the hearts of those who are drawn to its story. Whether it is a quiet stroll through its gardens, a tour of its historical rooms, or an event in its grand ballroom, Linden Towers remains a place where the past lives on, a place where every stone and every room tells a story. As we reflect on the journey of Linden Towers, from its mysterious beginnings to its transformation into a modern-day landmark, one thing remains clear: its legacy is far from over. The mansion, with its intricate architecture, lush gardens, and storied past, continues to captivate the imaginations of all who encounter it. Its enduring presence serves as a living testament to the changing tides of history, culture, and society, offering a window into the past while shaping the future of San Francisco. Linden Towers is more than just a building. It is a symbol. It is a symbol of ambition, wealth, and the timeless human desire to create something that will last beyond one's lifetime. From the moment it was conceived, the mansion was designed to stand the test of time, a monumental structure that would echo through the ages. And in this, it has succeeded, despite the many changes that have swept through the world around it. Linden Towers remains a constant, a beacon of history and culture in the heart of San Francisco. But what is the true legacy of Linden Towers? Is it the impressive architecture that still draws visitors from around the world? Is it the stories of its former inhabitants, whose lives were intertwined with the mansion's history? Or is it something deeper, something more intangible? Perhaps the true legacy of Linden Towers lies in its ability to inspire. For generations, the mansion has captured the imaginations of those who have visited it, leaving an indelible mark on their hearts and minds. Its grandeur, its mystery, and its timeless elegance continue to serve as a reminder of what can be achieved when vision, ambition, and creativity are combined. Linden Towers has inspired not only architects and designers, but also artists, writers, and dreamers who have sought to capture its beauty and its story in their own work. Moreover, the mansion's legacy is reflected in the lasting impact it has had on San Francisco. Linden Towers is not just a historical monument, it is an integral part of the city's identity. It has played a significant role in shaping the cultural and architectural landscape of the region, influencing generations of builders, designers, and visionaries. The mansion's towering presence is a testament to the city's rich history and its ongoing evolution, a place where the past and the future meet in a perfect harmony. But the legacy of Linden Towers is not confined to its walls and its grounds. The mansion's story is also a story of resilience. Over the years, it has weathered the storms of time, from financial ruin to social upheaval. It has adapted to the needs of each new generation, reinventing itself while retaining its core identity. And in doing so, it has shown us that history is not something that is locked away in the past. It is something that lives and breathes, evolving with each new chapter. As we stand in the shadow of Linden Towers today, it is impossible not to feel the weight of its legacy. The mansion, once the home of the city's wealthiest families, is now a place that belongs to everyone. It is a reminder that the stories of the past are never truly gone. They are carried forward from one generation to the next, shaping the world around us. The mansion's enduring presence is a call to action, urging us to reflect on the past, appreciate the present, and look toward the future with ambition and purpose. So, what does the future hold for Linden Towers? Will it continue to stand as a beacon of history, or will it evolve once again to meet the changing needs of a new era? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: Linden Towers will always be more than just a mansion. It will always be a living legacy, a place where the past, present, and future coexist in a timeless dance. And as long as it stands, the story of Linden Towers will continue to inspire and captivate, a reminder of the enduring power of history, architecture, and human ambition.